I bid you welcome.
I welcome you to my house.
Welcome to my house.
Welcome to my home.
Hello horror hounds and welcome to my horror house. Christmas is almost upon us, so I will raise a glass of port to your good health, and we will continue our regular Monday look back at an old UK TV tradition of the festive period, the BBC's Ghost Stories for Christmas. This video we will catch up with the final two episodes of the original run of the series, and a bigger change of pace in a TV series I don't think you could ever find. Or I don't know, should we call this a series or a TV tradition? Anyway, let's get down to it. The first episode, Stigma, from the 28th of December 1977. Salut. This is the first of only two stories in the Ghost Stories for Christmas run set in the modern day, and at first that's really quite jarring, especially if you're box setting it like I am and you've just watched the 6 previous episodes that are all period pieces. But Stigma fast became one of my favourite episodes of the entire series. Get me in the right mood on the right day. I may even say it's my favourite of the whole bunch. I realise that may sound like heresy when you consider that the work of M.R. James sits at the very heart of what most people think of when they consider the BBC Ghost Stories for Christmas. But as with the previous videos, I'm going to point you to where you can watch the episode yourself, and I'm not going to spoil it here. So please feel free to watch it for yourself and make up your own minds. I imagine it might have been quite a letdown if you tuned in 1977 and had for the previous 6 years been used to the more traditional type of ghost story, because Stigma bucks an awful lot of trends set up in the show to date, not just with the modern day setting, but with a healthy dollop of female nudity, a lot of blood, and also a distinct lack of ghosts. But this is no slasher. Instead, the film concerns the Delgado family, who've just moved from the city into a new cottage in the countryside. The cottage is situated near an ancient stone circle, and one of the stones is actually in their back garden, and they're arranging to have it removed. Anyone who has watched or read any kind of folk horror could have told them what a bad idea this was. There is a lot going on in this short film, and the script almost dares you to try and figure out where the locus of horror is. Clearly there's the ancient land. There's also a daughter on the cusp of womanhood, sort of maybe a Red Riding Hood kind of thing. Definitely an Angela Carter vibe going on. There's the cleaning up of blood, which has the feeling of an anxiety dream, and you start to wonder, does that represent perhaps puberty or maybe menopause for the mother character? There are a couple of very pointed shots within the cottage of a print of Henry Fuseli's The Nightmare, perhaps inviting us towards a subconscious or psychoanalytic reading of the story that's being told. There's also a poster in the daughter's bedroom of Briar Rose, and a spinning wheel is set very prominently at the top of the stairs, both of which point towards the fable of Sleeping Beauty. So I would argue that for all that this is the first episode of Ghost Stories for Christmas that is not an adaptation of a literary work, this is a very literary piece. It asks you to dig into it. It asks you to look for subtext and meaning. It doesn't leave you hanging at the end, but you can make up whatever interpretations you're comfortable with. And I would actually say that it engaged me on an intellectual level, perhaps more than any of the previous episodes have done. Stigma is a real break from the Ghost Stories for Christmas norm, which may put some people off. It may just be, this is not what you want from a BBC Ghost Story for Christmas, and that's absolutely fine. But I found it to be a bold piece of folk horror which could comfortably sit with something like Blood on Satan's Claw or The Witch. Never have painted nails and the peeling of an onion been so sinister. As with all preceding episodes, location is key, and Stigma was filmed at Avebury in Wiltshire, a place famed for its standing stones. Avebury also served as the location for the ITV children's series Children of the Stone, which has been described as children's TV's The Wicker Man. Avebury's also where my nan grew up. The final shot of the episode from a helicopter as we pull back to see us puny humans dwarfed and surrounded by these standing stones and barrows of ancient land is chilling and a sort of devastating cap on the story we've just been told. In that way, with the ancient coming back to haunt and affect the present, I think that there are enough ties to the works of M.R. James for this to be included. Purists might turn their noses up at it, and I wouldn't blame them for that. If it's not what you want from a ghost story, and especially this esteemed series of annual TV events, it's just not what you're after. I thought it was phenomenal. But what a difference a year makes as we move from the sublime to the ridiculous, and the final episode of the original run, an episode called The Icehouse, which was broadcast Christmas Day 1978. It's another episode set in modern day, and if anything, The Icehouse is even more experimental than Stigma. But whereas the previous episode soared, I'm afraid that for me, The Icehouse is an abject failure. Paul's wife has recently left him, and we join him during a stay at a residential health spa located in an old country house. Lots of strange things happen, and everyone talks elliptically, with none of anything ever being resolved. There will be some who really warm, I suspect, to this super obtuse form of storytelling, but for me it was just all weird and no payoff. There's a strange brother and sister team, Clovis and Jessica, who own and run the spa, and they may be in an incestuous relationship. They may be aliens. They may even be pod people, because their auburn and blonde hair colouring and the colours they dress in are complemented by a strange vine which grows on the outside of the icehouse of the episode's title, which produces one red and one white flower. Now, Paul, our nominal hero, is intoxicated by the scent of these flowers. Clovis and Jessica continually try and prompt him to smell the flowers, and then keep trying to suggest that he goes into the icehouse, which seems to be something he has to do of his own volition, but for reasons that the scriptwriter don't feel that we ever need to know. You will keep watching to find out exactly what is going on, but in the M.R. James tradition, I'm going to issue my own warning to the curious. You will never get anything even remotely resembling an answer from the Icehouse. That would just be far too gauche. You can watch the episode on YouTube, and I will link below to where you can do that, and you can make up your own mind. And if you feel I've completely misrepresented the episode, please feel free to comment and let me know. The series itself took a substantial break, not revived until 2005. However, we will not take such a break, and next Monday we will look at A View from a Hill and Number 13. The episodes from 2005 and 2006, respectively.